All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get this shindig started. Sorry to keep you waiting, but I just wanted to post my reaction to my Twitter so that way people who can see One Piece and my voice acting will be able to pick up on it. I had to do all the usual stuff, but let's go ahead and get started. Ogata-san, welcome back. Good to see you. Thank you for the continued support. I really and deeply appreciate it. My channel would not be as entertaining if it wasn't for people like you who show up. I greatly appreciate it. But let's go ahead and get the formalities out of the way, shall we? Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. Last we left off, we found out that Yuji relayed the information to Fushiguro that Sukuna is a disgraced one, so it's going to make things complicated for the angel that resides in Hana Kurusu, or Kurusu Hana, is going to make it difficult for her to go along with them in order for her to use her curse technique that can undo other curse techniques and free Gojo. Not only that, but we found out, and I kind of figured out the chronology of what happened in the chapter. I thought that Kenjaku went to go see the world leaders directly at the same time Yuji and them were talking, but no, apparently Kenjaku went to go see these world leaders beforehand. And one of the places he stopped at was the United States, explaining what cursed energy is, what cursed spirits are, how it applies to jujutsu sorcerers, and putting the idea in the American president's head that, so I explained all these things to you. So what are you going to do with all this information I gave you? Because we have a vice secretary or a secretary of energy and environment who sees the explanation and sees cursed energy as something that can be exploited. Seeing it as a brand new energy source and saying like we need to seize on this opportunity so that we can capitalize it before anyone else does. I don't think this dude realizes just the gravity of the situation that comes with cursed energy in and of itself, but all he sees is as like we can use it as a renewable energy source. But it's like cursed energy requires negative emotions in order for it to manifest to certain degrees. That's why they're called cursed techniques. It's not good. These techniques are not good. They're useful, but they don't come from a very good place. Otherwise, they'd be happy techniques. They wouldn't be called cursed techniques. So not on top of that, but during all of this, back when with Yuji and Fushiguro, apparently new people have entered into the colony all of a sudden, in the 800s, mind you. And it comes to mind that it's not just the US who's trying to head inside this colony, because the US wants to get their hands, at least not just the US, but Kenjaku put in the heads of these nations that Aoi Todo, Yuji Itadori, Satoru Gojo, and Kento Nanami are four exceptional individuals that they could, spirit away from Japan for them to be research subjects so that these nations can figure out how cursed energy works, so that these nations can use cursed energy for their own purposes. They don't realize that Kento Nanami is no more, but they're coming. With all these 800s of people, it makes me think that it's not just the US who's there, but all these other nations that have shown up to try and find out where Yuji and the company is and see if they can be willing to go back with them so that experimentations with cursed energy can begin in these other countries. So the situation is not good for Yuji and company. I've done this recap way too long. Let's go ahead and get started with today's chapter. Chapter 201, Direct Talks Part 2. And it cuts to Uraume, Uraume. Because I kind of got her names called mixed up with Nanami's actual name. I kept calling her Nanami for some reason, but Uraume is there with Kenjaku back at the United States. This is during the time they were talking. As Uraume goes, it cuts to the president going, "Are you telling me to use my authority to abduct Japanese citizens?" And then the secretary guy, I already forget his name, he goes, "One sorcerer could produce enough energy to last a whole lifetime. We're talking energy independence. Just one could solve multiple problems. Because their brains are wired differently, sorcerers defy modern science and technology. That means we need research samples. And then the American president just goes, abduction and now human experimentation? Cyrus, do you hear yourself talking? We can't let China and Russia get ahead in alternative energy. And it's not just them. Saudi Arabia and the Middle East have conventional energy interests. Germany's abandoning nuclear power, and that's not to mention nations with strong militaries like India, France, Korea, and Turkey. If India makes a move, Pakistan will respond, which would then lead to a chain reaction. There's no end to the list of nations that will act. When one makes a move, others will leap to catch it. They'll target Japanese people, and they won't stop at sorcerers. This isn't abduction, it's protection. If we lock down this info, we can protect Japan's sorcerers before anyone interferes. He says this. He's trying to paint it from a military and industrial standpoint, but you're still abducting people. Cuz you literally just started this conversation going, "We need research samples." Sure, you say they're under their protection, but in return for their protection, what are you expecting them to give you? See, this isn't like some charity thing where they're protecting them from other people and that's the end of it. We're protecting you, but for our protection, we're going to need something from you as well. It's a hustle when you think about it. It's like those old hustles you would see in the 1930s and 40s, like, "Hey, I hear you're building a new store here. Well, it's, in order for you to have this store here, you're going to need to pay us at least about $20 a month." This is back in the 1930s where $20 was essentially $200. $20 a month for protection. What do you mean protection? Well, since you're starting a new business here, we would hate for anything to happen to it. So for your safety, we're giving you a service. You pay us to protect you, and we make sure nothing happens to your store. Because it'd be unfortunate if you were to come home one day and find your store just burning in flames. You get what I'm saying? It sounds like that sort of nonsense. But he's trying to use a lot of military and industrial jargon in order to kind of paint it as it's not so bad when you think about it. This isn't abduction, it's protection. If we lock down this info, we can protect Japan's sorcerers before anyone interferes. And then Kenjaku's in the background going, "Well put, it's only humane." And then the secretary that's next to the president goes, "These talks are being conducted in secrecy, but he could go elsewhere if we refuse." And then it cuts to Kenjaku, who's smiling, thinking, "I already have." He's literally gone to other nations and let other people know, but he's just like painting this picture for the US so they can move. It's going to be a mad grab for all the sorcerers in the city right now. For all the sorcerers that are in Japan right now. Because it's not just going to be the US who's moving on the pretense of protection. It's going to be other nations too. But then Kenjaku goes, "Sorcerers are a minority. In November, they'll all congregate in specific areas, which presents a unique opportunity. Increase security in all Japanese neighborhoods." Mr. President, there are citizens of Japanese descent in the US. If Gato shops around, other nations will target them, and it's my duty to protect them. Lieutenant General Gari, to pull this off, what scale of mobilization are we talking about here? And then we get Gary K. Johnson, Joint Special Operations Commander of the Lieutenant General of the Army. You mean to carry out a military operation for the abduction of Japanese sorcerers? Don't put it that way, General. It sounds bad. My apologies, but I'm a career military man. I need clear orders. The guy with white hair is an anomaly as a sorcerer, correct? Yes, he's an extreme example. But in November, I will have sealed him away and he won't be able to move. Kenjaku visited these nations before the Shibuya incident. He planned this all in advance. Kenjaku visited all these nations before the Shibuya incident went down. Yes, he's an extreme example, but in November I will have sealed him away and he won't be able to move. Then one company'll do. And then Kenjaku just stares at him. They don't know Kenjaku's in his body, they just see the man called Gato. That's all they see. And then it cuts to Gari going, we'll run operations out of Yokota Air Base. Cyrus, will 5 sorcerers do? Yes, that would be perfect. These psychics or whatever are green hornets without training. They will be no match for us. Muscles and bullets, and it cuts to a wall with bullet holes in it. Muscles and bullets. Nothing beats them. And then, because apparently they were shown the power of Jujutsu sorcerers. And then Gari goes, nothing beats them. And then Kenjaku says, exactly, even between sorcerers, the force that is physically stronger wins. You hear that? Indeed I did. However, I still do recommend deploying a battalion of at least 800. So the 800 is from the US. It's not a mixture of different nations, but it's from the US, which just makes me wonder, if the 800 is all from the US, what about the other nations? I still do recommend deploying a battalion of at least 800. It's just as I heard, the Japanese are pessimistic and timid. Is it because your mommy didn't buy you a gun when you were little? And then Uraumi just chimes in and goes, then how about a test? And Gari doesn't say anything, but Genjaku says, good idea. 2 sorcerers are right here. For security today, I suppose the 15 men outside this room is just scratching the surface, right? And then it shows the White House and all the armed men that are inside the hallway. Outside that room is a counter-assault team of 15 Secret Service elites wearing bulletproof armor and carrying rifles. And Gato's right, that isn't all. There are also men from SAC, a paramilitary division of the CIA. It's the finest of covert units. Each member has at least 8 years of military experience, including special ops. I wanted to explain that. Director of National Intelligence. The Director of National Intelligence is there, but he's getting kind of one-upped and shown up by the military lieutenant general here. 3 SAC teams totals 30 soldiers. Throw in the Secret Service and we got 45 heavies to slap down Suguru Gato. Besides, he's in the president's office in the West Wing. He'll never make it to the office here in the East Wing. And then it shows everyone has vacated the area, leaving Kenjaku and Uraume on their own inside of the Oval Office. How do you just leave someone in the Oval Office by themselves? How do you just even though this is a demonstration, how do you just leave someone in the Oval Office? Literally the private quarters and the private office, the office of the President of the United States. How do you just leave someone in there by themselves? But Kenjaku goes, well, shall I wrap this up? And Uraume goes, want any help? I'm bored. Want any help? I'm bored. No thanks. My curse technique will be enough to display the might of Jujutsu. I've calculated non-combatants and approved the use of firearms. At least you'll... but I live here with my wife! At least you'll never have to see them again. Japanese people should stick to making cars and anime. Stop saying stuff like that. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. We got a dude who's slightly racist. Oh no. We got a bigot in the group. That's not good. That is not good. When they start talking like this in the story, they don't have long. They don't have long in this world. When they start saying stuff like Japanese people should stick to making cars and anime, and like saying like you people should stick to what you're good at and stuff like that, no, that is not. That's death flags. That is death flags. The only people who say that are people who don't have long to live. Japanese people should stick to making cars and anime. Stop saying stuff like that. And then the president says, is this really necessary, General Gari? It seems a bit overboard. No, Mr. President. Our objective isn't victory. It's to present an overwhelming show of force. but you're operating off of a mortal level. Jujutsu goes beyond that. That's America! And then, as he's saying this and smiling to himself, he notices that, he notices a body just fall out. He notices a body just fall right behind the window he's standing next to. What the? And he slams open the door to go outside, and he goes, what happened? And he looks up, and he sees a whole bunch of soldiers just in the air as a giant curse is outside of the White House, and I don't even know how to describe this creature, but it has multiple hands, and it's making all of these soldiers fly up in the air, and they're just being dropped. Like, you know how Azazel was killing all the security guards in the hideout of the mutants, of Xavier's students back in X-Men First Class, and he was just dropping everyone's body, like teleporting them up in the air and just dropping their bodies. This curse is making them all these soldiers levitate in the air and then just dropping them. What the heck? And then it shows a bunch of dog tags that just pile up behind the president, his secretary, and the director of intelligence. That Kenjaku just drops behind them. And then Kenjaku walks with Uraume, and he goes, now, let's talk hunting sorcerers. And then it cuts to Takabe, it cuts to Yuji, Fushiguro, and Hanakurusu. To be continued. Wow. Bigots don't live long, just ask who's who. Ogata-san, that's the exact person I thought of. That's the exact person I thought of when it came to bigots, because as soon as who's who started to behave like a bigot, Jinbei Yu did a demon brickfist and broke that dude off a piece. But this guy, it's like Pig God, a rat, and infused together and took steroids. Yeah. A rat and him infused and took steroids, and now he's just massive. It's like, that's scary. And it's to be continued. But it doesn't exactly say when the next chapter is supposed to be popping up for Jujutsu. It doesn't say. It's kind of bare. Even though we get like the next period of when we should be getting the next chapter of One Piece, we don't have anything saying the next chapter is coming up for Jujutsu. So I don't know if Jujutsu is on break or what. I can't tell. But so it cuts back to that's a lot of eyelashes that just came off. Kenjaku speaking to the United States president, and Cyrus is steadily trying to give reason as to why abducting the Jujutsu sorcerers from Japan is a good idea. We got to do this, otherwise other nations will capitalize on this, and then we'll get left behind. But also try to come up with the idea like, well, we're doing this for their protection, so that other nations can't get their hands on them. But at the same time, there's this underlying feeling like he's doing it for the same reason he said, like, yeah, it should be fine to abduct these people from Japan because they're a renewable energy source. He doesn't see them as people when you think about it. He automatically sees the power that they have as something to be exploited. They are no longer people. They are now test subjects for them to find out how to use cursed energy as a renewable energy source. They're no longer individuals. There are tools to be used and to be exploited. But he's painting a picture like we're doing this for them. We're going to protect them. But like the example I gave you before, that protection is not going to come free. So it's just this whole chapter was just dedicated to just showing like Kenjaku's trying to explain this all to the United States. And mind you, this was all before November, before the Shibuya incident took place. So he was talking to all of these nations months in advance to what was about to go down. And United States, especially their lieutenant general, sees it like, yeah, this ain't a problem. I don't see nothing wrong with this. How many people do we need to go in there and get them? Because this is America, and we gonna get them. And we gotta show the Japanese because they're so pessimistic and timid. Like, he's already bad-mouthing the Japanese, not knowing that pretty much the majority of the sorcerers in Japan could one-shot pretty much all of the United States Army. Gojo himself could solo the entire United States if he wanted to, because that's how powerful Gojo is. I mean, if you look up the Limitless and the Six Eyes combined together, just the long list of what they're capable of doing basically turns Satoru Gojo into a god in the face of the United States. But Lieutenant General Gari is looking like, well, these people, like literally these people. That type of mentality, he's downplaying, he's not really taking it seriously just how powerful Jujutsu sorcerers are. Even though he's seen an example that muscles and bullets do nothing to a great deal of these Jujutsu sorcerers. And even when Kenjaku wants to have like a little bit of a test, well, not really him, it's Uroume who puts it forth, wants to have a little bit of a test, Gari's trying to show off, saying like, we got all these SAC members, we got all these strike members, anyone who's not a non-combatant has a firearm now. What about my wife? At least you don't have to see him again. And like all these different examples of military might. We gotta show our might. We gotta throw our weight around. We gotta show them that this is America. Don't catch you slipping on. Kenjaku be tripping on. Like, it's like, he's making it seem like the United States will not back down. We got to show these people just how strong we are. And in that instance, Kenjaku just displays how powerful Jujutsu Sorcerer is by taking all of these SAC members and just dropping them out of the air. Some dying, some not, but they're all just getting massively hurt and shown to be helpless in the face of the power of Jujutsu. And Geto goes out of his way to take all the dog tags that were on these guys and dropping them like a literal pile of dog tags he took from all of the armed soldiers that were there and drops them in front of the US president, telling him, let's talk about hunting down sorcerers. And it's like, Geto thought of everything. I wouldn't say he's on the same level of All For One, but then again, I kind of would, because Kenjaku's actually been around in the world longer than All For One has. So I would say that their planning is equal in terms of being prepared to do certain things. But this chapter just showed you how thought out Kenjaku really thought this when he went to the other nations in order to explain the commodity and the resources that lie in Jujutsu sorcerers as a whole. So now it just makes me worried about Yuji and his group. Now, mind you, when it comes to regular, normal people, I'm not worried about Yuji and company having any trouble against them. But what I'm concerned with is Kenjaku giving non-Jujutsu sorcerers something that can help them kidnap and abduct Yuji and company. That's the thing that I'm concerned with. Because even if Kenjaku said, like, go in there, take them, and do the best you can, it's not like Yuji and company are going to make it easy for them. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kenjaku gave them something that can make it so that they can have a better chance of abducting Yuji and Gojo and Todo. I have a feeling like Kenjaku's probably going to lead them in a way to make it easier for them to try and abduct Yuji. Not saying that he would, but I feel like he's also leading them to the slaughter as well. Because 800 people from the US, that's a ton of people. There's no guarantee that all 800 of them are coming back. Not to mention, he's talked to other nations who he could have sent in like a whole number of people, asked to send in a whole number of people as well. 800 from the US, 800 from India, 800 from Germany, 800 from France, 800 from England. So many different countries, so many big, large nations Big, large nations he would have gone to and told, you need to mobilize this amount of people in order for you to have a chance of grabbing them. And imagine if more countries go into the culling game colonies. Exactly. The moment you enter inside of the colony, you immediately become a part of the culling game's rules. And if you do not adhere to the 16-day killing rule, you are killed. Your curse technique, like your curse status, is removed from you and you die. Imagine and the thing is, he's not telling them about the culling game or the rules that are involved in it. He's just telling them to go to Japan. So he's not letting people know what happens if you go inside of the culling game. That's one thing that the nations don't know about. The stipulations. So then it's going to become a feeding frenzy when you think about it. Because all these nations going into these colonies trying to get their hands on Yuji and friends, and they still have to adhere to the rules of the culling game. If they don't kill within a certain amount of time and get points, they die. That's one thing that Kenjaku left out. So even if they get there, there's no guarantee that many of them are going to come out alive. Then imagine them understanding the rules of the culling game. They still go, and they are forced to turn on each other to survive. Because the only way you're going to get through this is if someone willingly gives you their points or you start killing people. And you can't give someone your points if you have no points. So the only way that's going to happen is if people start killing each other. Kenjaku literally just set them up for a basic slaughter. Sure, he put up the thought of like, hey, get your hands on all these Jujutsu sorcerers. But at the same time, make sure you kill someone in order to stay alive. It's like, Kenjaku really did think this out. He really, and the amount of people he's having people being sent to these colonies, because think about it, he wants to create a world where only Jujutsu sorcerers exist. If he's sending all of these troops, having these people send all of these troops, and I know I'm going on a long-winded rant right now, but it's like, I'm thinking this through. I'm trying to think this through. If Kenjaku has all these nations send their best troops to their best, most qualified troops to Japan in order to try to get their hands on Yuji, and most of them die due to the effects and rules of the culling game, or the fact that they choose not to play and they wind up dying anyway, that's taken a massive blow to the military infrastructure of these different nations, which will make it easier for Kenjaku to either eradicate them or do whatever he pleases with them because he pretty much set them up to fail. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. I'm probably overthinking it. But these nations sending all their soldiers, their best qualified soldiers to Japan, and them getting caught up in the culling game, it's not good. It's not good for them because they're going to have to kill to survive. And that includes each other. Their very own people, they're going to have to kill them. It's bad. It really is bad. This is bad. This is bad. This is bad. I thought Yuji having to deal with the fact that the angel wants to kill Sukuna inside of him, and that revolves around him dying as well. I thought that was a whole bad situation because that complicates getting to Gojo. But now it's a whole bad situation with these other nations getting involved. I don't know what else to say. This was actually a good chapter. I really did think that One Piece's chapter that we just got was going to completely overshadow this chapter. But this chapter was good as well because this got me thinking. Survival of the fittest. Exactly, Ogata-san. It really is survival of the fittest. And Kenjaku's just chilling back, seeing who's the most fit to survive. Who's worthy enough to have cursed energy in them. Those who fail, die. Those who survive are counted amongst the chosen. But we're going to have to see what the next chapter offers to us. Now, mind you, My Hero Academia, and I'm done with it. I'm done with going over this chapter, but it's just like, wow, this is crazy. But My Hero Academia is supposed to be coming off of break next week. One Piece is still ongoing next week, and it doesn't show that there's a new chapter happening for Jujutsu next week, so we're just going to have to keep my eyes out for it. Overall, 2 great chapters today, and that's all I got for today. It's just like, wow, there's so much going on with Jujutsu, and there's so much going on with One Piece. It's just like my mind can't handle it all, on top of the other things that's rummaging around in my brain that due to the last couple of days. It's just like, good Lord, I need a break. I just need to chill, eat the pizza that just showed up because the family brought pizza, and then just relax, because this is something else. We will all remember this week in manga chapters. So much good content. It really is, Ogata-san. It really is a good week for chapters. And I'm grateful I'm alive to see these chapters and bring these chapters to you guys. Read them out and voice them. I'm so happy that I get to do this as my actual full-time job now. It's a blessing that I get to enjoy these moments with you. But let me not keep you here any longer than I've already have. All I can say at the end of the day is, hope y'all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then like, subscribe, and maybe even consider becoming a member, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples. Time to go eat. Take care. Enjoy my pizza. Not only that, but me and Godjiel are going to be looking at a new gameplay deep dive of Nico in Marvel's Midnight Suns. So yeah, it's a great day.